Welcome, friend. I'm James, your host, and today, we're diving into another captivating episode. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and get ready for a powerful story that's sure to resonate. If something hits home, share your thoughts in the comments. Let's dive in. My girlfriend left me on proposal day, and I'm lost. POTM, May 2023. The story involves me, 28M, my, now ex-girlfriend Elise, 27F, and her best friends Leah, 27F, and David, 27M. So, here's how my life turned into a twisted plot worthy of a Hollywood drama. Elise and I had been inseparable for 3 years, living together in a cozy apartment in downtown Los Angeles. Picture us in our little haven, the walls adorned with photos from our adventures, framed memories from trips to the beach, hiking trails in the San Gabriel Mountains, and spontaneous road trips to nearby vineyards. The faint aroma of fresh coffee wafted from the kitchen, mixing with the scent of her lavender-scented candles, and the sounds of laughter would echo between us, often over late-night pizza or brunch at our favorite local diner. Our friends used to joke that we were the epitome of a perfect couple. They'd often catch us stealing kisses or sharing inside jokes that only we understood. Our life was a tapestry of dreams and laughter, woven together with plans for marriage, children, and a future filled with adventures. We envisioned ourselves living in a quaint house in the hills of Echo Park, surrounded by trees and sunshine, where we would host barbecues with friends and sit under the stars, dreaming about the future. But I had promised her I wouldn't propose until I had a stable job, and just 2 months ago, I finally secured that dream position at a tech startup, a job I had worked tirelessly to achieve, overcoming countless rejections and dead-end interviews. With my new job came a surge of excitement and optimism about the future. Everything seemed to align perfectly. Elise started dropping hints about getting engaged, her eyes sparkling with the prospect of a shared life. I could almost see our future together unfolding before me, home-cooked dinners, lazy Sundays filled with laughter, and the pitter-patter of little feet. We often talked about our dreams for a family, envisioning a little girl with her mother's curly hair and bright smile, or a boy who would inherit my love for adventure. I was already on it, scouring jewelers in the Arts District for the perfect ring, each visit to the store filling me with both excitement and anxiety. Daydreaming about how I would ask her to be my forever partner, I imagined her face lighting up with joy and surprise. I contacted her best friend Leah, who I trusted to keep my secret, and we met at a vibrant cafe in Silver Lake, where the baristas served the best avocado toast and cold brew. I laid out my grand plan, a surprise proposal in a quaint, secluded cabin surrounded by the breathtaking California wilderness. Leah's eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas morning, and she enthusiastically agreed to help. She even roped in David, her partner in crime, for some extra backup. Together, we plotted every detail, from the perfect location to the ideal moment when I would pop the question. The plan was unfolding beautifully, almost like a scene from a rom-com. We settled on a romantic spot in the San Bernardino National Forest, away from the hustle and bustle of LA, where we could connect under the stars. I arranged everything meticulously, candles flickering softly in the twilight, flowers blooming in vibrant colors, and a camera to capture the moment, all set to create the perfect atmosphere. I envisioned how the golden sunset would bathe us in warmth as I got down on one knee, and I could already picture her shocked expression, the tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. I felt like a man on a mission, and with each detail I finalized, my anticipation grew. My heart raced as I thought about the love we had built together and how this moment would solidify our commitment to one another. As I ordered Elise's favorite takeout the night before, I could hardly contain my excitement. We had a lovely dinner, the air thick with happiness as we shared laughter and dreams, completely unaware of the storm that was about to unravel. Her smile lit up the dimly lit room, and for a moment, I felt like nothing could touch us. We were invincible, our love strong enough to withstand anything. Fast forward to Saturday, the big day. Leah and David had concocted an elaborate ruse to get Elise out of the apartment, enticing her with brunch at a trendy new spot in Hollywood, a restaurant known for its glitzy atmosphere and Instagram-worthy dishes. I knew they'd emphasize the place's fancy nature, ensuring Elise dressed to the nines. As they left, my heart raced with anticipation, butterflies dancing in my stomach. The day felt electric, and I was buzzing with excitement. I quickly called my friend who was at the cabin, checking on the setup. Everything was on track, or so I thought. The sun was shining brightly that morning, casting a golden hue over the city, and I felt like I was on the brink of something magical. But then, the clock started ticking ominously. I called David to ask for their location, wanting to gauge when I should arrive. Nothing. I texted Leah, my gut tightening with every unanswered ring. Still, no response. Panic began to creep in as I checked the time. 30 minutes had turned into an hour. Were they stalling? Were they late? I asked one of my friends to call David, but the line just rang and rang. The atmosphere shifted, my stomach twisted in knots. The cheerful playlist I had prepared for the drive to the cabin suddenly felt distant, like a cruel reminder of what was slipping through my fingers. The clock continued to tick, and with every minute that passed, my heart sank further into an abyss of uncertainty. Finally, I made the call to Elise. My heart thudded in my chest, but I had to know. The phone rang and rang until Leah picked up. "Why are you calling her?" she yelled, her voice laced with venom. "You need to never call Elise again. You're dead to her. You're a horrible person." Confusion enveloped me like a thick fog. I stood there, feeling the weight of her words crashing down on me, every syllable a blow to my heart. My mind raced with disbelief. Before I could even process her accusations, she hung up, leaving me gasping for air, reality slipping away. The room felt like it was closing in on me, the walls closing in like a cage. I stumbled backward, clutching my phone like a lifeline. My friends gathered around me, their concerned faces blurred by tears. The world felt heavy, like the weight of an impending storm. I was devastated, utterly bewildered. Moments later, Leah texted, a cold reminder that my life had turned upside down. She and David would be coming by later to pick up Elise's things. The words echoed in my mind, a reminder of how quickly love could turn into something sinister, something I never thought possible in our seemingly perfect relationship. Desperate for answers, I reached out to Elise's parents, my voice trembling as I explained the situation. They were equally in the dark, expressing their confusion and concern. "She's not answering?" "What do you mean she's not answering?" they asked, their worry palpable over the phone. My heart ached at the thought of them being just as bewildered as I was. They promised to call her and find out what was going on. 10 agonizing minutes later, they called back, their voices filled with worry. "Elise said she can't talk right now and will call us later." A wave of despair crashed over me, drowning my hope. I felt like I was spiraling down a rabbit hole, each thought darker than the last. What could possibly have happened in such a short time? Had she found someone else? Or was it something about me? My heart raced, each beat echoing my growing sense of dread, and the crushing weight of uncertainty settled on my shoulders like a heavy fog. I could feel panic rising in my throat as I replayed every moment, every conversation, every laugh we had shared, searching for clues that might illuminate this sudden darkness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, David and Leah arrived at our apartment to collect Elise's belongings. They moved like shadows, their presence suffocating and oppressive. I felt the walls closing in as they entered, a stark reminder of everything I was about to lose. My heart felt like a stone, heavy in my chest as I watched them walk through the threshold. They barely acknowledged my existence, their eyes cold and unyielding as they rummaged through the remnants of our life together. I stood there, helpless, as they took her clothes and shoes, remnants of our shared moments, her favorite sundress, the one she wore on our first date, her comfy pajamas, which smelled like home, even the quirky t-shirt I had gifted her, adorned with a pun about cats. Each item felt like a dagger to my heart, a reminder of the love and laughter that had filled our home. Leah's parting words sliced through me, "If you ever contact Elise again, I will report you for harassment." Those words echoed in my mind, and I felt the chill of betrayal wrap around my heart like a vice. I could hardly breathe, feeling like I was suffocating under the weight of her threats and the loss of the love I thought was unshakable. After they left, my friend stayed with me, refusing to let me wallow in the dark alone. We tried to make sense of everything that had just happened, our voices blending into the night. I paced around my apartment, replaying every moment leading up to this nightmare. My mind churned with dark thoughts. What had happened between Elise and me? Had she been cheating? Was there another man? The suspicion gnawed at my insides, a bitter taste I couldn't shake. I felt like a detective in a film noir, piecing together fragments of a story that no longer made sense. I kept trying to remember the little things, the way she would laugh at my jokes, the sparkle in her eyes when we talked about the future. But those memories felt tainted now, shrouded in doubt and confusion. I ran my hands through my hair, feeling the weight of uncertainty and despair settle in my chest. A heavy lump that refused to dissipate. Hours stretched on, and we stayed up until the early morning, discussing theories and speculations. Maybe she's scared, one friend suggested, trying to offer a glimmer of hope. You know how commitment can freak people out sometimes. But the more I thought about it, the more unlikely it seemed. Elise was strong, independent, and fiercely loyal. This wasn't like her at all. There must be something else, I insisted, feeling frustration bubble within me. The only scenario I could conjure was the worst. Maybe Elise had discovered something about me, some dark secret, or perhaps she feared the commitment and panicked. The thought clawed at my mind, but I pushed it aside, unwilling to accept that our love had been a facade. I clung to the hope that there was a misunderstanding, that somehow we could still find our way back to each other, even as doubts churned in my gut. I desperately wanted to believe there had to be some explanation for this nightmare, something that could make sense of her abrupt departure. The next morning, I was still reeling, the world outside feeling surreal and distant. The sun peeked through the curtains, casting a harsh light on the reality of my situation. Today was supposed to mark the beginning of our engaged life together. Instead, I found myself wrestling with despair, lost in the aftermath of a love that seemed to vanish like smoke. I turned to Reddit, hoping that sharing my story would bring clarity or at least a semblance of understanding. I poured my heart out, detailing the love we shared, the plans we made, and the abrupt betrayal that had shattered my world. My fingers trembled as I typed, the words spilling out like a floodgate had opened. It was cathartic yet painful, like peeling back the layers of a wound I didn't know how to heal. I wanted to scream, to cry, to somehow make sense of it all, but I felt trapped in my own mind, my thoughts spiraling into darkness. In my post, I described how our love felt like a fairy tale, how we had built a life together filled with joy and laughter. I recounted our dreams of marriage, a home, and children. I wrote about the moments we cherished, long drives along the Pacific Coast Highway, lazy Sundays spent in bed, and late-night talks that stretched into the early hours. I detailed how I had prepared the proposal, the love and care that went into every detail. I wanted the world to understand the depth of my heartache, the confusion that had become my constant companion. I was hoping that someone, anyone, could shed light on my situation, offering insight or sharing similar experiences that could guide me through this darkness. As the day wore on, I received an outpouring of comments, ranging from supportive to speculative. Some urged me to reach out to Elise, insisting that open communication was key. Others suggested that I give her space, arguing that pushing too hard might drive her further away. I was inundated with questions, advice, and a myriad of theories about what might have gone wrong. I found myself scrolling through the comments, trying to make sense of it all, desperately searching for an answer that would resonate with my aching heart. But every theory felt like a hollow echo of my own pain, each suggestion a reminder of the love I had lost. After a long day filled with emotional turmoil, I decided to take a walk. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the city as I made my way to Griffith Park. The air was filled with the scent of blooming jasmine, but it did little to lift the heaviness that clung to me. As I walked, memories of Elise flooded my mind, the way she would smile when she spotted me after a long day at work, the sound of her laughter that could light up the darkest of days. I felt a sharp pang of longing, a desperate wish that everything could just go back to the way it was. Finding a quiet spot on a bench overlooking the city, I sat and let the tears flow. I thought about how I had envisioned that day, the proposal, her joy, our future, and how it had all come crashing down. The thought of facing life without her felt unbearable. I closed my eyes, trying to breathe through the pain, when suddenly my phone buzzed in my pocket. I fished it out, my heart racing. It was a message from one of Elise's friends, asking if I had heard from her. Panic surged through me as I realized the web of confusion extended beyond just my feelings. I quickly replied, explaining the situation and the chaos that had ensued since the day of the proposal. The friend responded quickly, telling me that Leah had mentioned Elise was struggling and had withdrawn from everyone. My heart sank at the thought of her feeling alone and scared. Despite everything, a part of me wanted to reach out to her, to offer my support and let her know I was there for her, even if she didn't want to hear from me. The complexities of love and heartbreak swirled within me, leaving me more confused than ever. That night, as I lay in bed, the silence felt deafening. I replayed every moment leading up to the proposal, every look we shared, every laugh that echoed in the corners of our home. I was haunted by the memory of her smile, the sound of her voice, the dreams we had woven together. I tried to understand what had changed so suddenly, how the person I loved could just disappear from my life without explanation. The darkness crept in, and I felt utterly alone, drowning in a sea of unanswered questions and unprocessed emotions. The next few days were a blur. I went through the motions of life, but everything felt muted, like I was watching my world from behind a glass wall. I continued to read the comments on my Reddit post, each response resonating in different ways. Some people shared their own experiences with heartbreak, others suggested ways to cope. I found a few threads discussing emotional withdrawal and the fear of commitment. The more I read, the more I realized that my situation wasn't as unique as I had thought. Determined to understand what was happening, I decided to take a more proactive approach. I reached out to Elise's parents again, asking if they had heard anything new. They confirmed that she was safe, but still hesitant to talk. Their worry mirrored my own, and it broke my heart to think that she was hurting. I knew I had to find a way to communicate with her, to show her that I was here, waiting, willing to listen to whatever she needed to say. After some thought, I decided to write her an email, pouring out my heart onto the page. I wanted her to know how much I loved her and that I would respect her space, but I was also ready to fight for our relationship if she was willing. I expressed my confusion, my pain, and my desire to understand her perspective. As I hit send, I felt a mix of hope and dread. What if she ignored it? What if she never wanted to talk to me again? But I couldn't let fear stop me from reaching out. Days turned into weeks, and I continued to live in limbo, checking my phone constantly, hoping for a response. My friends rallied around me, trying to pull me back to life. We went out, watched movies, and even hit a few bars. But every laugh felt hollow, every moment of joy overshadowed by the absence of Elise. I began to doubt if I could ever truly move on, if I could ever find happiness again without her by my side. Then, one evening, as I returned home from a particularly tough day at work, I noticed an envelope slipped under my door. My heart raced as I picked it up, the familiar handwriting sending waves of nostalgia crashing over me. I tore it open, breathless, and began to read. Elise had finally written back. In her letter, she explained that she had been overwhelmed, not just with the proposal, but with life in general. She admitted that she had been grappling with her feelings about commitment, her fears about the future, and her own insecurities. The letter was filled with vulnerability and honesty, and it brought tears to my eyes. She missed me, missed us, but needed time to sort through her emotions. I understood. The weight of her fears resonated deeply with me, and I realized how important it was to give her the space she needed. That night, I lay in bed clutching her letter, feeling a flicker of hope for the first time in weeks. I was willing to wait for her, to be patient while she navigated her feelings. Our love was worth it, and I knew deep down that we could find our way back to each other, stronger than before. I promised myself that I would give her the support she needed, and no matter how long it took, I would be here, waiting with open arms, ready to embrace the love we had built together. The journey ahead would not be easy, but I was ready to fight for her, for us, for the life we had dreamed of. As the sun began to rise the next morning, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I knew I wouldn't give up on Elise.